Hi, hello, it's Jess, and you're gonna want to get a drink or a snack for this one. We're gonna be here for a while. Welcome to my Christmas book haul. I'm sure anyone who's a reader can understand that the best gift at Christmas is books. And this year was no exception. My family and friends know me, and I have a lot of books. The first up is a gift from my best friend Sarah. It is The Spanish Daughter by Lorena Hughes. Sarah knows me so well. She's known me almost my entire life, and I'm so excited to read this book. I had actually never heard of this book. It is a historical fiction, and it is mostly involving a family through multiple generations, but you mainly follow Puri, who has a love for chocolate that she inherited from her father. And then when he dies, she finds out that she's actually inherited an entire cocoa plantation. So she gets on a boat and she is gonna go to accept her inheritance, and then somebody on the boat tries to kill her. So there's a little bit of a thriller aspect, there's the family aspect, and there's kind of a mystery of who's trying to kill her and why. Sarah knows that one of my favorite weirdly specific things in books that I love is when there is some type of food or sweets component. I especially love it when it is something that actually plays an integral role to the plot. And so I'm just so excited to see what this book has. Next up, you're probably sick of me talking about this. Jake's Grandmother Got Me Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I've talked about this in numerous videos already. I've already read it. I love it. One of my favorite books of the year, so I will link that down below if you want more in-depth thoughts about this. But this is about a very, very small hockey town in Europe. Basically, one of the players on the team rapes a young girl. The town just has to deal with the fallout about that. That's all I'm going to say about this. Please look up a full list of content warnings, but I highly, highly recommend this book. Like I said, I have gushed about this book already in multiple videos, so go watch those if you want more details about this. Next up is a gift from Jake's dad, which is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sujimura. And this is a translated Japanese children's book. And honestly, I'm really excited to read this. It is a portal fantasy. These teenagers wake up one evening and their mirrors are glowing, and then they touch their mirrors and they get whisked away. Where they get taken to is this mysterious castle, and if they can make it to some room within the castle, they will get a wish granted, but they have to leave the castle by a certain time or they'll be punished. This is supposed to have quite a bit of whimsy and also just be a tale about loneliness, which is a theme that I typically enjoy in books. That's a weird thing to say, that you enjoy themes of loneliness, but it is something that I like. So I'm excited to give this a try. The next 5 gifts were gifts to me from Warbane, one of my Twitch viewers, and I'm so thankful. I cannot wait. Warbane really spoiled me with the adult fantasy this year. The first is The Sort of Kaigen by M.L. Wang, and I'm not entirely sure what the actual plot of this is. All I know is that it's been compared to Avatar because of the elemental magic, and there's also a magical sword. Also, one of the main characters is like a middle-aged woman who is a mother, and then one of the other main characters is her son who's training to be a warrior. First of all, I love Avatar, so anything that gets compared to Avatar, I want to read it. Like, that alone would have sold me on this book. But I've also heard amazing reviews, and I'm just really intrigued how like a mother-son relationship is gonna play out in this world. I love family dynamics, and I'm just really intrigued. And there's just something about big, thick fantasy books that really satisfies a part of my soul. Warbane also got me Before They Are Hanged, which is the second book in the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. So, have I read the first book? No. Do I know what this trilogy is about? Not at all. This is a series that I want to binge based off of the vibes and the reputation alone. I've never read anything by Joe Abercrombie, but he is just so well loved within the fantasy world. I've read a lot of grim dark fantasy before, so I know that it's something I like, and honestly, I don't want to know anything. I want to go into this series knowing nothing and see if I like Joe Abercrombie as much as everybody else does. Warbane also kindly gifted me one of my prized possessions, the illustrated collector's edition of Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. It's so beautiful. Robin Hobb is one of my favorite authors of all time. I have read 6 of her books and am currently in the middle of the 7th, and I just love her writing style. She is such a comfort author to me, and this is the third and final book in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in the realm of the Elderling. And this is a series that follows Fitz Farseer. He is the bastard son of the Crown Prince, but once it becomes known that he exists, the Crown Prince abdicates the throne, and Fitz is kind of brought in and raised by the stable master. But then one day the king realizes that Fitz would be the perfect person to train to be the royal assassin because he is within the royal bloodline, so he can interact with nobility, but he also is a bastard, which means that he can interact with the common people, so he really has access and one foot in 2 worlds within this story. I'm just so happy to have like this amazing, beautiful illustrated edition of one of my favorite books. Next up is The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winters. This is the sequel to The Rage of Dragons. Have I read the first book in that series? Mind your business. This is an adult fantasy series where we're in a country that is basically just been constantly at war. There's seems to be like 2 types of magic in this world. Women can call down the dragon. I don't know what that means. I'm really not sure, but I love dragons. And then the men can like, I guess Hulk out would be the best way to describe it. Like, they just become like really big, super powerful, strong warriors. This country has been at war for years. I don't know how long, but basically the main character in this series is like, I don't want to fight. So he makes up this plan to join the army, but he doesn't have any magic. So his plan is to get like a light injury so that he can be discharged, and then he just wants to like get married and go live on a farm. But as with most fantasy, his whole family is murdered, and so then he's out for revenge. I would really love to get around to this series this year. The last gift from Warbane is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is an adult fantasy series. It follows 2 rival mob families, and like they're involved with the jade trade, which in this world, jade is something that like magic users use and consume, I believe, in some way. I'm not entirely sure on the specifics, but I'm so excited. Book Club is currently reading the Tawny Man trilogy, and then after we will be picking up the Greenbone saga. So I'm just really, really excited to dive in. Thank you so much for getting me the first book. Warbane, if you're watching this, I really hope you'll join us for book club for this in April. And hey, if you also want to join my book club, we will be starting this in April, and basically we just discuss it in the Discord amongst ourselves, and I will have that linked down below if you do want to join my Discord. Just make sure that you go to the Need Roles channel and tell us that, like, hey, I'm here to join the book club, please give me a role. Otherwise, every single text channel will be hidden to you. You won't be able to see anything. The next set of books were gifted to me by one of my moderators, Radar, and he got me 11 books. So here we go. We're going to go through the 11 books. The first one being The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. In an effort to keep this video short, I'm just going to be honest, I don't know what this book is about. All of the books that I got from Radar were discounted, and so I got this on the name of the author alone. I really, really want to try Simone St. James. Do I already have one of her books? Yes. Have I read it? No. Mind your own business. Next up, an adult horror novella. This is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a horror novella about some mannequins that come to life. I have heard mixed reviews about this, but I want to give it a go anyways because Stephen Graham Jones is one of my favorite authors, and I want to read everything that he writes. I also got I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is an adult thriller about a girl who is thinking of breaking up with her boyfriend, and then the two of them are in the car to visit his parents, I believe. And I mean, it's an adult thriller, so shit goes wrong. I don't know in what way, but I'm excited to find out. Then I have Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. This is a vampire novel. You all know by now I love vampires. So this is interesting because it's basically asking the question, what would you do if all the children in your town became vampires? How does that impact society? What are you willing to do for your children? What happens when it's other people's children? And honestly, I think the premise is just so interesting, and I really, really can't wait to dive into this. Next up is The Damnation Game by Clive Baker. Clive Baker is a really popular adult horror author, and you all know I've been diving more and more into the horror genre, so I really want to give him a chance. This follows a card game played with the devil. That's all I know about it. That's all I need to know, but I'm just really, really excited to give this author a chance and see maybe if I want to read some more books by them. Next up, I have When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. This is another adult horror novel. It is about basically a wedding that is held at a plantation, and then the ghosts of the slaves that were murdered and kept at this plantation come back, and shit gets real creepy real fast, and I'm here for it. I'm ready. Let the murder begin. Continuing with my adult horror, I have The Good House by Tananarive Due. I got this because A, I love a haunted house story. I have discovered that since I started really getting more into the horror genre. I love haunted houses. So all I know is that this is a haunted house story, and it has amazing reviews on Goodreads. The rating is really, really high for an adult horror. So I'm just really, really excited to give this a try. And then I have an adult thriller, He Started It by Samantha Downing. I've never read anything by Samantha Downing before. I would like to give them a chance and see. This is a family inheritance story, but it's also like a road trip story. And then somebody is like murdered either on the road trip or before the road trip. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, I don't know. It sounds interesting. Okay, I also got The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buhlman, and I'm very, very intrigued by this book. This is an adult fantasy, and it follows the leader of a thieves guild, which, I mean, honestly, just the idea of a thieves guild is intriguing to me because I love Skyrim. The leader of the thieves guild tries to pickpocket a knight, and he fails, and then somehow he gets like wrapped up in like the knight's quest, and like the two of them have to go out on a quest together. And I don't know, if that just doesn't sound interesting to you, I don't know what to tell you because that sounds so interesting to me. Next up is a nonfiction. It's This Is Your Brain on Birth Control by Sarah E. Hill. This is a nonfiction about the birth control pill and the effects it has on the body. I'm excited to dive into a topic that I'm only vaguely familiar with, and we'll see if I enjoy this, and maybe I'll pick up some more medical books this year. I don't know. Is this considered a medical book? I don't know. And then the last book from Radar is another nonfiction. It's How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. This is a nonfiction book about racism and slavery in America. As someone who is trying to continually learn about these topics, I'm just excited to have another book to dive into about this. Okay, so those are all the books that were gifted to me. We are now going to move into the books that I have bought for myself over the past 3 to 4 months. I can't remember exactly when I filmed my last book haul. I think it was the end of September. So obviously since then I have bought some books. I did too much retail therapy in 2022 and we will be fixing that. But before we fix that, I'm gonna show you the damage that I did to my bank account. So I'm gonna start with my book of the month picks, and the first one is Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercroft. Honestly, as soon as I saw this book, I was like, I need it. And then I read the synopsis and it's just so intriguing. This basically is surrounding the Baba Yaga myth, and it is about like the Yaga family set, I believe, in the present day, where two siblings, a boy and a girl, inherit this magical house with chicken legs. That's basically all I needed to know. I was like, I'm sold. Sign me up. This is going to be so excellent. I'm really hoping for some adult novels with whimsy in them. I think it's been sorely lacking in the adult fantasy genre, and I'm really hoping that this will deliver. I think it will based off of the reviews. Next up, I got Sign Here by Claudia Lux. I think it's classified as horror, but I think that this is more satire than anything else. This follows a literal demon in hell who is trying to get promoted. He needs to basically sign up some souls from this rich family. And I'm hoping that this will be as funny and humorous as it sounds. I'm really, really excited to pick up this book. Last month, I did an add-on. I got A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. Have I read A River Enchanted? No, but I needed the matching covers. Like, right? Like, we understand I needed the matching covers. I didn't even know that A River Enchanted was going to be the first book in a series, but basically now I'm committed to buying them all from Book of the Month. So, you know, good for them. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember the synopsis of A River Enchanted. I just know that I was super excited when I got it. Still haven't read it, but I do remember that it involves a magical island, some girls going missing, and a bard. And anytime you add bard into an adult fantasy, I'm gonna be there for that. I also picked up All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This is an adult thriller, and I mainly picked this up because this author's first novel was also a Book of the Month pick. I didn't pick that one, but then it got amazing, amazing reviews. And so I've been wanting to give her a try. And then she put out this book and it was available, so I picked it. But the premise is also very interesting. So this follows a mother, and one night her 3-year-old son is kidnapped, and basically it just becomes a cold case. No one has any information about it. But then one day the mother is contacted by a podcaster, and she agrees to do an interview with him. And then I believe things start to come to light about what happened. My last Book of the Month book is White Horse by Erica T. Worth. This is an adult horror novel, and it follows an Indigenous woman. She lost her mother years ago and has kind of moved on with her life, but then she starts seeing her mother's ghost and basically has to go back and confront her past and try to find out what really happened. I believe this has the trope of repressed memories, which is a trope that I'm not sure if I like or not, but I am really, really intrigued by the book overall. Continuing on with the book haul, we have the book that I'm currently reading, my book club's pick, which is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. You can see I'm this far into it. This is the first book within the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third trilogy in the realm of the Elderling. This follows Fitz and the Fool again. Being back in this world has been so amazing. I started reading this book and I immediately just sank back into Robin Hobb's writing style. It was just like putting back on like a favorite sweater. I felt so warm and cozy and comforted, even though this book is not a cozy read. That's just how Robin Hobb's writing style makes me feel. I love it. Would die for Fitz and the Fool. Okay, this next pick is a weird one. It kind of requires a backstory. I got Excavation by James Rowling. When I was in elementary school, I checked out a book from my local public library. And I don't know what that book was, but I remember I checked it out because it had a pyramid on it, and I had just got to my Egyptian studies part of like my world history, and I was obsessed with pyramids. So I must have been in like 3rd grade. So I checked out this book from the library. No idea how I ended up finding it, and it is an adult book, and that book scarred me because in this book there was this like Indiana Jones type dude who like found these people who had had no other human contact, and these people would like spontaneously combust. And I don't remember why they spontaneously combusted, but like it terrified me that I was going to spontaneously combust. Like this book scarred me. It is a core memory, and I have never been able to figure out what book that was. But I think it's this one. Here's the thing. Don't take this as a recommendation because I don't know if this book is good. I might DNF this book. This book might be shit. But it follows Henry Conklin, who discovers a 500-year-old mummy in the Andes, and then his son stumbles upon a remarkable site nestled between 2 towering peaks, a place hidden from the human eye for thousands of years. I think this is the book that scarred me as a child, so I want to read it. So I know that this is weird. Like, I don't know if this book is good or not. I have to know why these people spontaneously combust. I need some closure for 3rd grade Jessica, so hopefully this gives it to me. Hopefully this is the right book. Can you imagine if this isn't even the right book? I don't know. We'll find out. On a more serious note, I picked up Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is Chanel Miller's memoir about what happened to her. If you don't know, she is the Jane Doe in the Brock Turner Stanford sexual assault case, but that was a really, really public sexual assault case in the United States. At the time of the case, they kept Chanel Miller's name private. She was just Jane Doe, or she was Emily Doe, sorry. Whatever, same thing. Basically, this is her experience in her own words. This is a very, very heavy book, but I've heard that it is so beautifully written and so moving. I think that this is just like a really, really important piece of literature, and I'm happy that I own it. I cannot wait to read it. The next book was a bit of an impulse buy. I was watching Kayla from Books and Lala, and she was giving a rave review of this book. So I went to just like add it to the running like book list that I have on Amazon for books that I'm interested in. And it was $4.95. So I just bought it. And that is The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. This is listed as a horror novel, but it's so weird because like the synopsis says that this is a book about a magic book, but the magic book is also a sex book. So it's a book about sex magic. And basically like you follow a book dealer who is trying to obtain this book, I believe for a client. But like it's also listed as horror. So I'm just very curious as to how all of that is going to work out together. Impulse buy, and I have it. It was less than $5, so I really can't be mad. I also picked up A Wilderness of Stars by Shay Earnshaw. I have mixed feelings about A History of Wild Places. There are parts of that book that I loved and thought were outstanding, and there were also parts of it that I was like, this is bad. However, I have loved both of Shay Earnshaw's young adult novels, and this is another young adult novel. You follow Vega in this novel, and she is an astronomer. Don't really know what that means, but she basically has lived her entire life in this valley and been told not to leave it, but one day she sees a sign in the stars and they're telling her to leave the valley. So she packs up and goes, and then discovers that there's this like sickness going around, and somehow as an astronomer, she uses her star magic to try to save the town. I don't know what all of that means, but I love the idea of an astronomer. I love the stars. Astrologian is my favorite class in Final Fantasy XIV, and I really love Shay Earnshaw's writing style. Her books have all been so atmospheric, which I know is not a selling point for everyone, but I love atmosphere in book. I can't wait to dive into this. I'm really excited to see how the magic system plays out. I'm also pretty sure that there will be a romance in here, as there have been romances in her other young adult books. Also, if you get like the first printing of her books, there's always a fun thing on the naked hardcover, so that is what is on this one. Next up, I picked up Celeste Ng's new book, Our Missing Hearts, and I'm just gonna be real with you. I don't know what this book is about, haven't read a synopsis, do not care. I have read both of Celeste Ng's other books, gave both of them 5 stars and loved them. And so I just, like, I don't care what this book is about. I'm gonna read it no matter what the synopsis says. So I'm just gonna not read the synopsis, and if you want to know what it is, go look it up. Next up is another new release. It is The Witch and the Czar by Olesa Salenkova-Gilmore. Salenkova Gilmore. And it's really funny that I got Thistlefoot, because this is also about the Baba Yaga myth. This is a Russian historical fantasy. Baba Yaga is living out in her hut in the woods, and she's helping people, healing when she needs, doing her witchy stuff. And then her friend Anastasia, who I believe is the Princess Anastasia, because this is like historical Russian fantasy, comes to her for help. And so Baba Yaga goes to Moscow, and there she encounters Ivan the Terrible. Do I need to say more? No, this is going to be such a fun time. I can't wait. Next up, we have another impulse buy. It is this gorgeous edition of Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. It is beautiful. I am obsessed. I am slowly working my way through Cassandra Clare's books. I have like 10 before I get to this one, so I did not need to buy it. It was definitely an impulse buy, but it was just so beautiful, and I wanted it, and now I have it, and I definitely spent too much money on it. So, good for me. We are almost done, I promise. We have 3 books left, and they're all continuations of stories that I am already in the middle of. The first up is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. This is the sequel to The City We Became, which is one of my favorite fantasy books. It is so creative and so interesting. Basically, this is an urban fantasy set in our world, except in this world, cities can become alive. And when they come alive, there is a physical avatar that represents the city. And New York is in the process of coming alive in the first book. And because of the boroughs in New York, there's actually a group of avatars, one for each of the boroughs. As the city is coming alive, there is an interdimensional monster trying to kill and eat the city. And it's just so good. It's so cool. It's kind of weird. I grew up right next to New York City, and I love the city. I've been so many times. So I do think that having a love for New York City makes this series a lot better, but I really love it. I think N.K. Jemisin is a genius. And I don't know how she comes up with the ideas that she does, but it is so good. Next up, I have The Atlas Paradox by Olive E. Blake. This is the sequel to The Atlas 6. The Atlas 6 is about the Alexandrian Library, and thousands of years ago, it actually didn't burn down. It hid itself away, and now there is an Alexandrian society, and they protect the library. 6 new people are recruited to go to the Alexandrian Society to protect the library, but only 5 of them will make it. It's one that I really, really enjoy, but it's definitely like a vibes over plot type of book. People find this book really, really polarizing. I'm not trying to like read too deep into the series, but it was entertaining as hell, so I'm excited to continue. Okay, the last book of the book haul is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. I can't believe this book is in my hands. First of all, I just want to say, why is this one so much taller than the other UK paperbacks? I was willing to wait 6 months to order the UK paperback to match my other copies of my Brandon Sanderson Mistborn. And then I saw that, oh, you could just order the UK paperback right away. And I was so excited. I was like, sweet, all of my Mistborn books, all 7 of them are going to match. I'm so happy. And then this came, and it's like 1.5 inches taller than the others. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Why is it so much taller? Hello? Anyways, like, that's, you know what? Like, it's fine. I will get over it, but, like, I'm very annoyed. This is the 7th book in the Mistborn world, but the 4th and concluding novel to the 2nd era Mistborn series. Yes, all of them have to be read in order. No, you can't skip ahead. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Mistborn is an adult fantasy series, and basically in this world, people can eat metal, and then they can burn the metal to do things, and each type of metal does something different. And in this series, you're following Wax and Wayne, and it's kind of like a cowboy series. I don't know, I guess is how you would describe it. Wax and Wayne are lawmen living kind of like outside of city life. They're out in like the desert basically. I don't remember. They have like a name for the area, but I don't remember what it is. And they basically just work out there to enforce order. And then they kind of get drafted back to the main city, and then from there they get caught up in solving various mysterious circumstances that start with some kidnappings. And that's all I want to say. I love this series. I honestly cannot pick whether I like Era 1 or Era 2 better. I will not pick. I think it's like comparing apples and oranges. They're just so different, but the world remains so amazing. The magic system is so amazing. Wax and Wayne are really, really funny, and I really love the character development throughout the novels, getting to know them more and more, getting to see them change and grow. Along the way, they end up attracting some more people to their crew, and they just become like this little band of found family, and it's really, really great. It's really funny. The action, Brandon Sanderson is so good at writing action, and he's so good at building a world and setting up rules within that world, and then taking it, turning it on its head, and still not breaking any of the rules. And you're just like, I can't believe Brandon Sanderson turned the entire world upside down, and yet his established set of rules and the world building and the magic all still works. And it boggles my mind every time he does that, and he continues to do it. So I cannot wait to dive into the Lost Metal. I can't wait to see what the finale brings for Wax and Wayne. There you go. There's my Christmas book haul. I think that this was definitely the biggest book haul I have ever done. Thank you so much to everyone who gifted me a book. I am so happy. My heart is so full, and I feel so grateful, and I will be thinking of you when I read them. I am a little bit embarrassed by how many books are in this, but at the same time, I'm very, very happy. If you've stuck here for this whole thing, I'm sorry it's so long, but I really appreciate you being here. If you'd like to see more content from me, I do stream 5 days a week on Twitch. That is linked below. And of course, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. I believe my next video is going to be my most anticipated releases for this coming year. I hope that you stay warm this winter. I hope you stay hydrated, and please stay safe. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.